Hey guys, welcome back to episode. Okay, I definitely know this one is for now. Of Myth Explorations. I said I was only going to do one a week, but I'm going to have a bit more free time on my hands soon, and I've got a bit now, so I'll try and get two videos out if during a week if possible. But don't worry, you can always count on getting at least one. So in the last episode, I think I ended up talking, I think, about Ragnarok, the ancient Norse version of basically the end of the world. And today I thought I'd cover that a bit more. So let's just jump straight in. So Ragnarok, as I said, in I think in the last one is the prophesized end is the ancient Norse prophesized end of the world at some point. So it starts with an event called Fimbulwinter, which means basically it's a series of 3 winters, consecutive 3 winters. So basically, it'd probably be first one will probably be actual winter, and then it'll probably be spring and summer. During those three, the sun will fail, and basically it will basically always be cold, somehow dark. It will always be cold in some way, dark, and from what I've seen, it will the world will pretty much become like a real life version of the Purge. so, um, and even though it doesn't explicitly say it, I have a feeling that because it's as part of it, it says that it will be the time of um swords and axes and whatnot. Technology will fail. Uh, so it kicks off with one of the things that kicks off is this Fimbulwinter, in which basically it will basically become a mixture of the Purge and Frontier. Um, and the next thing that will happen is the two wolves that I think I've mentioned. If not, I'll mention them now. Skull and Hearty. Skull and Hearty are two wolves, the grandchildren of Loki, I believe, who will then finally catch their prey, the sun and the moon respectively, and then eat them. And then the stars will disappear. So basically, we'll have Earth or Midgard, we'll have the winters. So first we'll have us going about normally. We'll have 3 winters during which the sun will fail, it will be cold, and it will become the purge. Then we've got two giant wolves that will eat the sun and moon respectively, and the stars will go poof. The stars will disappear, causing it to basically look like the inside of what will probably be what the sky will probably look like with the new moon, except with no moon and no stars. It's the best way I can think of to describe it, really. So the next bit will be all the trees will fall and the mountains will basically collapse. How that will happen? Why that happens is because of the world tree. You could just tell the thing that the supposed tree that the fates apparently made. Well, no, sorry, no, not the fates. I think it was the Norns made that hold up all the realms. Will go. Will basically go wiggity boogity boo, shake a bit, and then everything will basically just go. So the reason why I say that is because basically every ancient Norse supervillain gets freed, including Fenrir. Fenrir, for those of you who don't know, basically equates to the Norse god version of a hellhound. Apparently, according to the myth, because apparently he can snort fire, not snort, like snort as in if you breathe through his nose, fire. um, so yeah, he'll be free. He'll be free running around eating people. He'll basically become a human vacuum, just going like this, but probably more fire and probably slightly cooler. And then the next thing that will happen is Jormungandr. Jormungandr. I've heard it pronounced a few different ways. Anyway, so basically, the giant snake that apparently encompasses the whole world will wake up, move towards land, and then in doing so, the seas will spill out over everything. So basically, the best way to picture that is, how scientists are basically saying if we don't stop the pollution now, it will basically cause a massive tidal wave with the seas rising. That's how I imagine it be going, except the actual seas will be a little bit lower. A little bit lower due to the fact that he's just moved the water, he hasn't actually increased it. So, and then the next thing will be, so there'll be this boat that was made by humans, I think, that died making it in the process. I can't really remember. That will be freed. And it will be, it will, and its crew will be an army of giants led by none other than Loki, Thor's little brother, and a right douchebag. Really, really, he kills Boulder, I guess, twice. He openly admits it, but he does get his own back when he gets like acid dunked into his eyes, I think. um so and then the next thing will happen is while everyone's freaking out about this, the fact that there's nothing in the sky, it's just pitch black, and basically while the purge is basically still going on, the sky will apparently split open, leading to Muspelheim, and out of it will pour fire giants led by Surtur with a big flaming sword. The way I've pictured it is not actually from Thor Ragnarok, surprisingly, but by the show Good Omens on Netflix. Like that sort of a flaming sword is what I'm thinking. Um, I don't know, I don't know what kind of flaming sword he's got because it doesn't really say. But I can't imagine it will be a sword made from actual fire. However cool that will be. Because I assume even by fire giant standards, that'd be a little bit impractical. So anyway, next bit will be there's a bit of a tussle between the fire giants in Asgard, with Heimdall and the Bifrost, which I think leads to them coming to Midgard. I think that it's either Midgard or Asgard, one of them. Um, and then there'll be a confrontation, I think, in Midgard between Odin and Fenrir. Fenrir will do his human vacuum for thing and kill everyone, even Odin, which is surprising. I'll come back to why in a minute. And then Vidar will kill Fenrir out of revenge. Right. Now I have a chance to catch up with my breath. The reason why Odin's death is so surprising is because he is the literal god of all knowledge, Mimir aside. Mimir basically advises Odin. He kind of knows basically everything about everything aside from Odin. Odin knows everything about before the world and how the world works because he was part of the original crew that made it. Mimir basically knows everything about everything else, and he usually advises Odin and tells him stories. Um, anyway, so it is highly probable that Odin knew his death, yet it still happened anyway. So we know that Odin. Sorry, we can assume that Odin probably knew about his death, but yet he still let it happen anyway, which we probably know means he believes in the fate of his death, and so on and so forth. Blah blah blah. Okay, and then obviously there will be the grudge match of the century finally between Thor and Jormungandr. Obviously Jormungandr being the world serpent, Thor being basically the slayer of giants, and the world's basically the world's version of a hot-headed, what I'm going to assume is a Brock Lesnar with a hammer and the power of lightning, which is a very scary thought. So they'll duke it out. Thor will actually win the fight and kill Jormungandr, but he will get 9 steps away and then die. Why he dies is because Jormungandr is basically just a giant snake, and snakes have venom. So he gets enough venom from the fight that he walks away from from Jormungandr's dead body and dies. And then supposedly at the end of it, there will be 2 humans, 3 gods. I think the 3 gods are Baldur, Hoda, and one other person, and then the whole world can begin anew. I have not talked that fast in a while. I have no idea how that came out. But basically, that is literally how the ancient Norse described the end of the world. It is a bit chaotic, doesn't really suit it. I think absolutely mental is probably about right. Maybe slightly better. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, obviously the Norse can't go down without fighting each other. Obviously, anything in Norse mythology can't go down without fighting each other because it's part of who they are. I mean, there are literally all the legends are about them either fighting or bragging about the fights they've won. So say for example, the poetic Edda, literally half of it, literally like 90% of it, can be Thor either talking about fighting or fighting something. And then the other bits of it are Odin talking about how the world works, Loki killing Balder, which is a big part. And actually, that's a good point that links into Ragnarok. Actually, Balder will come back from the dead. How, we don't know, but he'll come back is basically how the Christians perceive God as basically being everything good, light, etc., etc., etc. So I don't know how the other two fit. I don't know how Hoda and the other one fit in, but there we go. That is probably the fastest I've talked and spilled out enough relevant information for it to make some modicum of sense. So yeah, that's pretty much the second video. Ragnarok is a basic. It's somewhat of a mythological event, but it's one of those ones where you can summarize it semi well and quickly, so you can get the general gist of everything. Um, but the one thing I don't know. Never mind. Ignore me. Ignore me. Actually, so yeah. I'll just give you a quick backstory on two maybe three of the characters in this. So I've talked a little bit about Loki, but there's one thing I haven't mentioned is that both Fenrir and Jormungand, or Jormungandr, depending on the pronunciation, I can't really remember, are actually the children of Loki. Loki, as you know, is the mischief god and definitely doesn't look like Tom Hiddleston in the mythology. Um, anyway, yeah, so yeah, they're both the children of Loki, which is very surprising because you think they'd look more like Loki than an actual snake and a wolf, which I do really have to question of what Loki did to get those children, but never mind. And then there's his grandchildren, Skull and Hearty. Skull and Hearty are the children of Fenrir, so the grandchildren of Loki. I still don't know how any of this works for that to happen, but there we go. But at the same time, I don't really know how Romulus and Remus could survive being raised by a wolf and then go on to found a competent city. So there we go. But that's something entirely different and way across the water. So I'm gonna leave this video here because there really isn't that much else to discuss, really, because it's the end of the world. It's literally just testosterone, death, punching, purge. That's literally all you need to know. And three winters that will basically probably make it look like Frontier. Yeah, that's about it from me for this second video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As I've said previously, if there's a certain myth or something you want to see, put it down below. I'll have a look into it and try my best to make a video out of it. And if not, and if I can't, I'll probably end up making a community post about it if I can figure out how they work. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed exploring this myth with me. I've been Alex, your I can't remember how we usually outro these. Myth Explorer. Well, Myth Explorer, and I look forward to going through the next myth with you guys. Until then, have a very fun week, have a very fun bank holiday weekend, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.